So, so again, that's what I said here. What makes one particular planet the most confusing? It shows up as something we like and want, but its true nature as a karaka. Remember, the planet starts with the karaka. That's the true channel that is going through is as the planet as a karaka, is a lesson contrary to our nature, to our dharma. And again, dharma is like the nature of the person, incarnated person. So again, you have to think with discrimination here. The dharma of, just like the dharma of water is to flow and be wet, the dharma of the fire is to burn and purify. Each, based on the ascendant, you have a dharmic nature that feels native in this lifetime, right? Like, I'm a Gemini, Elise is a Leo, so the dharma of the Gemini is to align with those things, and you can read them by the dharma house rulers. Again, now this is the subtlety of the rulers. The planets are still the karaka of what they are, but now as an incarnated being, you're now immersed in karma and enveloped in an ego with emotions, and you're now trying to navigate through, and dharma, artha, kama, and moksha is the kind of game you're playing. And the ones that rule the dharma, they connect you with that thing that feels real, and the other ones don't. No matter how much you like it, they're not really connecting you with dharma. That's why they can be confusing. So what it means is that in fulfilling the desires of that planet, we can get personally derailed on our course and not know how or why, because we're getting what we want and it feels good. So why are we still unhappy or unsatisfied? Because it's like, okay, yeah, I wanted this and now I have it. I wanted to have fun and now I'm having fun. So why did this fun suddenly turn into catastrophe? Or I have these desires, now I have it. Why am I now feeling horrible? So it's often those ones that have those desires and our lack of understanding around it because of its relationship. This is that, again, karaka ascendant matrix that I talked about at the end of the last course, because these karakas come down, particularly the natural karakas, and we interface with them based on our ascendant. And again, they have these rulerships, and we have to navigate that. So Elise, what would you like to say to that?
Yeah, I think this is probably the part that is most important to understand. Like, as a Leo, I have been trying to people please and make everybody like me my whole life. That Venus quality of let's get along with everybody. I want to know that everybody likes me. And then of course that reflects out in public because that's my 10th Lord as well, right? And how I've had a career that was successful and everything, but I was never satisfied, never. And any little criticism, any little problem would come through, there would be that confusion, naturally. Just is everybody happy? They're not happy. Oh my gosh, then what did I do wrong? And it kept me so stuck for so long. You and I have talked about this extensively. So yeah, that need, of course we all want to have great relationships. Of course we all want to connect with each other. Of course we want things to feel good. But then how long could I drag things out just trying to make them feel good rather than doing what I needed to do, right?
Yeah, and again,
the dharma.
What you just explained about the Leo relationship, Elise jumped right to Venus and Leo here because that's hers. And the reason it's confusing is because it's like, okay, I'm getting what I want. People like me. This feels good. But Leo isn't driven. But that's not, first of all, it's not the nature of Venus to get people to like us. It's to find beauty, transcendent beauty. But again, because Venus rules that it's a functional malefic. Yeah. Again, it's the third lord of the ego and the 10th lord of power. Leos love their Venus, man. I mean, they can't get enough because it's like their ego revolves around Venus, and we love it. We love the Leo ego because it's Venus, it's generous, it is all of that stuff. And they know how to use it, and they know how to use it to get the power they want. But then eventually it's like, all right, what is the point of this? Because it's not dharma. Leo is driven by truth. And by the way, it can even be like, again, these things turn very, even like I kind of discussed, like, look at me sitting here performing to get people don't like me. What the hell am I doing? Like, Leo is like, then you almost feel like a beggar to your own process on some level, because like all I'm doing is just trying I'm like this is why Leo can be this like shallow politician. Again, this kind of like, again, very shallow manipulating, again, if there's not introspection. But again, when there's reflection and there's dharma, the Leo can see it through themselves, because Leo is also totally frank and honest and wanting to know the truth about themselves. You know, Mars and Jupiter and the Sun are the dharma planet. So if you were to tell a Leo, I'm sure at any point, even in Elise's journey, even back then, if someone would have said kindly, I mean, you have to approach a Leo with respect and honor and dignity, and said, and what if I would have explained that to you even 15 years ago when you were doing it? You would have seen it if I would have explained it like, have you ever thought that you're like just kind of trying to get attention and approval, and how that takes you away from like your deeper goals? Because underneath it, blah, blah, and I would have just explained it even back when you were totally immersed in the middle of it. Leo will be like, damn, you're right. Because their desire is for knowledge. And again, that fire and that Mars, and they want to know. They can handle it, right? Now, if you go up to them and you say, oh, look at you, you're some phony blah, that's not going to work. But if you go to them and explain, this is with fire signs in general, they really want to know.
Yeah.
And again, that's not always the case with other signs, because their dharma for Leo runs through fiery stuff and the courage to change. And Leo will change overnight if they think, if they see it and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. They'll get it. So that's not Venus. Venus is, again, like for Gemini, Venus is a very dharmic energy. There's not that political quality to it. It's just kind of natural because it's a dharma planet. It naturally rules the 5th house. It doesn't have that confusion for Gemini because it's a dharma planet, right? And it can be about all kinds of things. Even, again, when you go down into things, Venus is also related to sex, sexuality, and other kinds of it goes the whole gamut, right? So each one of the signs has this most confusing planet, quality to it based on this idea. So, and it's huge. It's really funny because I just had an interaction with a guy online today. Classic. I mean, it was classic. Is Capricorn, right? And I posted this thing on Facebook, and this guy, it was just classic. And he had a Capricorn ascendant, and of course he starts telling me, people act like they're my peer, right? Like, oh, well, my blah, blah, blah. It was Capricorn, and he's like, he has, Jupiter in Scorpio. He had to tell me the whole thing and how the thing that I put up there about the most confusing planet, well, it's not going to work on him because his Jupiter is just so confused. It's the most simplistic thing in the world. It's the 3rd and 12th Lord and the 11th, Jupiter for Capricorn, but that's one of them that was on here. And again, in like 2 minutes in his public posts, he completely revealed exactly what this is that I'm saying.
Exactly what you were saying.
Exactly, while he's denying it the whole time and overestimating his own value, jacked up, full of opinions. And my final reply to him, because he was like, in my astrology practice, I make sure to blah, blah, blah. And my last post was, I just quoted my astrology practice. And then I put, how many paid readings have you done this year? Last year, the last 20 years. Can I read any of your case studies, your, blah, blah. And of course, that'll just produce crickets because he's not an astrologer. He's just jacked up, full of his opinions and his ideas and missing the teachings. Mm-hmm. Which is exactly what Jupiter, the 3rd and 12th Lord, would do for Capricorn, right? Because it rules the 3rd house of my opinion. It's Jupiter, first of all. Again, you see the card, Jupiter, teachings, my belief, but we like it. He loves the feeling that I'm a guru, that I'm a teacher, that I've learned stuff and I know things. And again, we like what we get from it. He likes that Jupiter getting on there, like, frankly, making a fool of himself to anybody who notices. And I just usually ignore this dude, but I felt like just kind of playing with him a little bit. And I'm like, because we like it. We like hearing ourselves be a guru too. I'm a guru too, just like Sam. I'm like, actually, you're not my peer, dude. I mean, I didn't say it like that, but I basically eventually was like, how many readings have you, your practice? What practice again? And it's this illusion, third house of opinions and ego, the 12th house lord, which is confusion, hidden things, where again, blind spots. It goes into the 11th house of Scorpio, where it's like, here I am publicly showing what a goof I am about this whole thing, arguing about something and not even noticing. So again, it's very clear to read it in like this guy's, but again, this is a perfect example of it's so confusing. Like, again, for the Capricorn, and I'm going to go through each one, but I'm just jumping around a little bit to give you the idea that often it is a blind spot that we'll have where it's something that is quite challenging because, again, just to read this again, in fulfilling the desires of that planet, we can get personally derailed on our course and not know how or why. Kind of like what Elise was saying, like Venus, like, what, how am I, how does this here? Like this guy online, like, yeah, how did I get here? Now all of a sudden I've just made a fool of myself. If he has the reflective capacity and not just get mad at me for pointing out the obvious, but it's like, how did I get here? And it said because we're getting what we want and it feels good. He's getting what he wanted to shoot his mouth off about astrology and all he's learned and how he's also a guru. Like, so the Jupiter part of him was like, yeah, here I am too, but like. So that's Jupiter. He's inspiring us. He's inspired, and the guy is inspired. And my point isn't to make him feel bad. My point is to maybe wake up something in him. Like, dude, look in the mirror, okay? You're not a teacher. You're barely a student, and you should be listening more than talking. Duh, right? But again, this is what Jupiter can do when he's a functional malefic. When he's a confusing energy, we can be in this delusion because Jupiter is giving us what he gives us, which is hope and purpose and meaning. Yes, my hope and purpose and meaning is, but if it's a cruel energy for us, it takes us away from it. So it's taking him away from the actual wisdom and giving the illusion of being a guru himself or some other kind of thing. Now, again, it doesn't mean that's always the case, and there are other factors, but this is the thing to understand. With this Karaka ascendant matrix that I'm talking about, this setup is there, and I know it all the time. I'm always aware. The thing that really gives the Capricorns that guru energy is Mercury, because it's the 9th lord. Venus rules the 5th lord. Saturn is the 1st lord. This is what connects them to Dharma. And these other planets can really take them away with these big philosophies that are ungrounded, as an example. So this is the subtlety. It does start with the Karaka, and you take that Karaka energy all the way through to the rulerships. And then it's not just that it's functional, benefic, malefic, good or bad. It's setting up this kind of thing. And again, like a planet like Mars, or the Sun, they're more openly hostile and aggressive. Right? The Mars for Capricorn is going to be more because it's Mars. And we see, yeah, I know I'm fighting, I have a problem arguing, but the Jupiter, he's like, what? Hey, look. Like, we don't see it. That's why I say the most confusing. Yeah, right?
Absolutely.
Anything you want to say to that, Elise?
Yeah, I really relate to even in reading people's charts in general and coming across this confusing planet with people. I see why people feel the confusion even to explain it, because it's a matter of whether the client or the person can receive it. You know, like you were saying to me, how you articulate it for a Leo needs to be respectful, needs to be in a way that the Leo will actually listen in. And I think that's a big part of our job, is to try to sit in those shoes of that ascendant, to try to see through that lens of that ascendant so that we understand the nature of that confusing planet, not insult, but just to make...
And some you have to be very blunt, like Mars ruled people, you have to be, because they're going to, they could be a bit confrontational. And so you have to know how to be blunt a little bit. Cancer people, you have to be very sensitive and careful and kind of, nurture them first, and this is great, and you have this thing and this and then you subtly start to break the bad news that it's all their fault. No. But absolutely, that part is a skill that takes time. So let's just go through each one with a general explanation here. Again, you see that I have the sign here, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. We'll just go down. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.